Another hot stock among retail investors tumbling today, DraftKings, falling after California pulled a bill that would have legalized sports betting in that state. The stock has gotten a lot of attention lately. According to RobinTrack, it's one of the most popular names on the Robinhood trading platform. And it's done well. Despite today's losses, DraftKings has more than doubled since it began trading in April. Jefferies initiating coverage on the stock today with a buy rating, $55 price target. Joining us now by phone is the man behind that call, Jefferies senior gaming analyst David Katz. David, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
This setback in California, does it make you a little bit more cautious on how many more states will legalize?
It does not. What we have, indicated all day today is that states are going to legalize. The biggest ones, which include California, New York, Florida, and Texas, it's going to be messy. They're politically complex. California, in particular, has a number of very wealthy and powerful tribes, and there's money to be made. And so it is going to be complicated. There will be fits and starts, but we have high confidence that these states will get there. Look, the political landscape is such where governors need money. The land-based casinos are suffering a little bit, and here's the opportunity to make some. And so one way or another, it's going to get done.
So that seems like a push-pull, David. I mean, in terms of the tribal casinos needing to make money because they might be hurting because of the pandemic, but the states need money also, and they might want to legalize.
Yeah, it does sound like a push-pull, but having covered gaming for about 20 years now, I think this is year 20, we always have these political processes, particularly in the larger, more complex states, where there's a pot of money and a little bit of a tug of war over who gets what. The tribes in California, in particular, as you referred to, have been very successful over the years. They have, frequently, periodically, going back to Governor Schwarzenegger, gotten into battles over how much tax they should be contributing to the state. But in the end of the day, they wind up having very productive enterprises, and they wind up, paying their fair share to the state. We believe that's going to happen in Florida. It will ultimately happen in New York. It is happening in Illinois. And as those states start to happen, the neighboring states start to fall like dominoes.
Right.
It happened with riverboat casinos, Melissa, and it'll happen again now. Yeah.
And you mentioned the momentum in the market share in New Jersey, which would imply maybe a domino effect in the tri-state area here. David, I do want to ask you, does a recession, does that impact sports gambling? Do people have less money, or does it make people want to gamble more? I mean, I don't know what the impact is. What have you found?
Yeah, look, I think the one unanswerable or difficult to answer question is how much wagering is going on in the illegal markets that will transfer over into legal markets? And then, how much new incremental play will there be as a result of legality? That first part is a very difficult question, Melissa, to answer. The second one is a person like myself who I do not have a bookie. But, should it become legal, I can tell you that, my friends and I have had a text going around with my cousins and my dad for 6 years, betting on what the next batter is going to do. That in-game wagering opportunity, by the way, which we discussed in our note, did some consumer survey work around, is a very compelling opportunity in the U.S., much more so than in Europe. And I think how much of that wagering will be captured by the common man like myself is really a big opportunity that remains to be answered in time.
All right. David, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
David Katz of Jefferies. A lot of what David was talking about, the black market going to legitimate market, Tim, that's just like marijuana. It's just like what happened with the pot industry, which we're still trying to figure out right now.
Totally. No, I mean, bringing it into the illicit market into the regulated market is an important part of this. And Dave talked about the complex regulatory landscape. It is a metaphor. Bottom line is whether it's legal or illegal, people love to bet. They love to gamble. They are doing it. They're going to do more of it. I think media companies are going to be in the middle of this. In fact, obviously, you could make an argument that DraftKings is a $14 or $15 billion media company. It's one of the largest plays, but iGaming, early innings, pun intended, absolutely. An in-game, as was just discussed, I think is such a massive market. that getting exposure to this is what people want to do. I hate this valuation, but I could hold my nose on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about gambling and I know nothing about sports. So this is just a convergence of things that I just know nothing about. But with that said, Bonawyn, just hearing about the opportunities for in-game wagering, I mean, that sounds really interesting in terms of, if it becomes legal in different places. I mean, not just DraftKings, but it could be something that media companies that broadcast sports may want to be in as well.
Absolutely. And I can assure you, I probably know less about gambling than you do. But what I do know is that the bookie in the house always wins. And they have positioned themselves primely to be able to take advantage of that. Between the in-game betting and the proliferation of esports and online sports, I mean, you've seen all the pauses in the major sports sports leagues, stumble there. And what you've seen is online gaming kind of fill that void. And the fact that they are diversifying themselves not only to in-game betting, but also to that growing, that burgeoning sector speaks volumes about, the foresight that the company has.
Guy, quick last comment.
It is range.
Sorry, Bonawyn.
No problem.
I was going to say is the fact that neither one of you know all that much about it. Oh, sorry, Bonawyn.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is sometimes if you don't know, those tend to be the best gamblers. If I can bet that James Paxton can freeze the koala bear with an Uncle Charlie, I mean, I'm in. And by the way, I love David Katz telling the world
if his arm
that he doesn't have a bookie.
Come on, man. Is he even healthy right now?
He doesn't have a bookie, but might have one if things are legalized. Might look to gamble. That's an honest analyst.